Why does prayer work? Hi, and welcome to Faith in Front. Recently, I gave a testimony and I shared how I prayed for something and God did it. As a matter of fact, He went above and beyond. So I shared my testimony and I shared how God granted my request. And not only did He grant my request, but He went above and beyond, right? And then I finished it with prayer works. Well, later on that day, I was thinking, and I felt the Holy Spirit basically saying, does prayer work just because I give you what you want? Because let's be honest, a lot of times we will say prayer works after we get what we want. You don't see a lot of people quoting prayer works, but God says no. He said no, or he said wait, or something like that. And so what we end up doing is we start to teach this idea that prayer works, that's equal to getting what you want. And that's not true. When we were younger, I'm just going to go back through my childhood, and I can remember outside playing. Yeah, what a concept, right? You know, these kids today, they're always on a game somewhere. But when I was young, we would be outside playing. You know, we either racing up the street, and I don't know what made you think that when you took your shoes off, it made you go faster. But yeah, I'm back in those days. So I'm telling my age. Okay, you know, if you took your shoes off, you were like, oh yeah. And so you took your shoes off. We're racing in the streets. We had our pogo sticks. We might be catching lightning bugs or something like that, right? And that's what we do, because this was back when the street lights came on, you need to be back in front of the house, but you could still be outside playing and doing whatever. You just had to be in front of the house, right? But then all of a sudden you hear that music, ding, 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 and you knew that was either Mr. Softy, the ice cream man. Yes, the ice cream man is coming, right? Or the bomb, we would call it the bomb pop man. And so what do? You make the mad dash to mama, dad, or granny, whoever, saying, yes, can I get a quarter? Can I get a quarter? Because you want to get a bomb pop, right? Yes, bomb pops were a quarter back then. Yes, I tried to give my sons an experience with the bomb pop truck recently, and I think I spent almost $10 for 3 bomb pops. I was like, times have changed. But my point is you would run to mom or dad, granny, whoever, say, can I get a quarter? Get a quarter? Now, when you went to them, you knew they were going to say yes or no or next time. You knew you would get that answer. And sometimes you would get no. Sometimes you would say no. They would say no or next time. Now, that never stopped you from approaching them the next time. But it's interesting that when God does not give us what we want, there are a lot of people who have, taken their ball and gone home, and they're like, well, I asked God for this and He didn't give it to me. So they just walk away from God. The point is this: prayer doesn't work. That statement, it doesn't mean you get what you want every time. Prayer works because of who you're making the request to. You're making the prayer request to a omniscient, all-knowing God, an all-powerful God. It doesn't matter what the request is if you're making that request to something that's inferior or that really can't hold up to the standard. Prayer works because God is going to give you the best answer. That's why it works. Not because you're going to get what you want every time. And I'm sure some of you watching this, you can probably think back and you sincerely prayed for some stuff early on in life. And now you're going, woo, I'm glad that God did not give me that. Prayer works. He didn't give you what you wanted, but it worked because He gave you what was best. So when we think about prayer working, we have to understand it works because we serve a God who has already showed us how much He loves us by the passion of the cross. Whenever I'm disappointed about not getting what I want, sometimes I have to remind myself of what God has already done for me. And we also have to keep in mind that God says no and wait with the same love that he says yes with. Because see, we feel the love. We feel the love when he says yes and we get what we want. But when we don't get what we want, that's when it's, we got an attitude with God. You notice I'm saying we. Because I have my little pity parties and my little pouting sessions as well. So this is for all of us. But I just wanted to share that with you because I had to catch myself. I was like, yeah, prayer works. And the Holy Spirit was like, also, that's what prayer works. That's what it means to you, is that you get what you want. No, prayer works because we serve a God who knows best, and he's going to give us the best answer. Now, in 1 John 5:14, it clearly says, this is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. So we have to keep in mind that sometimes we're going to ask him some things that are just not in God's will. Or as it says in the book of James, you ask amiss. Your motives were off. So that's why you didn't get what you want. So it probably be a good practice of when you do go to God, check yourself. Ask yourself, am I really praying with the right motive? Is this just selfish? I like how Pastor Evans puts it. Sometimes you have to, say, what does God get out of this? What glory? Or is it now? It's okay to ask for just things like hey, I would like to take my family on vacation, or I would like this vehicle. It's nothing wrong with praying those prayers, but I think it is a good practice to just do a self-check and say, why am I doing this? And it's okay to just ask for some things that are just a want. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but we need to check our motives when we approach God, because sometimes we may not get what we want, or we're told to wait because God is still developing our character, so that because he knows when our character is ready for the blessing. And because he knows if I give it to you right now, you're going to flip out. Okay, you guys, like, you might even forget me if I give you this right now. There's some things he just can't give us right now because we're like our kids. You're not mature enough to handle it. And that's why there are certain things that we don't give our children. They'll ask us. I can remember my sons, they were begging us for phones when they were like 7, 8 years old because all the other kids had cell phones. And I was like, no, you're not old enough for that. Now, we eventually gave them a phone, but we knew that at a certain time, no, you can't handle this. And so why should we expect God to be any different? So just wanted to encourage you, please, like, subscribe, leave a comment, because all of that helps with the algorithm. If this is something that you feel other people can benefit from, you really do need to interact with the channel. And so I pray that it has encouraged you, because yes, prayer does work, but it works because we serve a loving God who knows best. As usual, keep your faith in front.